Thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna do a stream helping one of our Patreon supporters figure out some ways to improve in his game. So he has sent me some videos of himself playing against some other folks. He's asked that I block out their names, so they are blocked out, as you could see, which I appreciate. You know, happy to do that, of course. And my intention here, you can see he's going to be the Honda player. My intention is to give some feedback, some positive feedback, some both things that were done well, which I always think is important to point out. It can't be an entirely negative thing. There are always things that are positive that you can build on. And so I want to make sure that people understand that, like, you didn't do everything bad. Like, if you did a lot, you did good stuff. Also, if there are things that I feel could be improved, then I will point those out. You know, I'll mention what I feel could be done better. I'll mention ways that I could think about sort of making that improvement happen, right? Rather than just giving sort of vague ideas, maybe a little bit more concrete feedback. This is the intention here. So what I'm going to do is watch each of these games one time, just so that I can see everything in the totality, and then I'm going to go back to the beginning of the game and then probably do a lot of pausing and chatting and stuff like that. So let's check it out. This is Broly's apprentice who's going to be playing Honda for this. I have footage versus a Zangief, as you could see, a Sagat, a Juri, and a Lucia. So we're going to take a look at these and hopefully it will go well. All right, so let's make it happen. Oh no. So Zangief, well, let me say that before this. Oh, interesting, and it's a V-Skill 2 Zangief. So let me say that I feel that the matchup between Zangief and Honda, I feel is often not described very well by other people. I've seen people say that they think Honda really gets dunked by Zangief. I've also seen the opposite of people thinking that Zangief dunks Honda, that it's like bad either way. And I don't feel that way personally. Personally, I feel that it's pretty even. And I think that because I feel that Honda has a good set of footsie normals. Oftentimes you're seeing him try to get in actively, and so you don't focus on that part of his game, or maybe you're seeing him do hands or butt slam or headbutt or, you know, something else rather than just like trying to play footsies. But I actually think he's got a good set of footsies. And he has, of course, also stuff that will break attempts to armor. This is a single hit armor on V-Skill 2, and Honda has you know, ways to pump out very, very fast many hits better than basically anybody in the game, with 100 hands, of course. So I feel like he does well against that. He's got good anti-air. At the same time, Gief has ranges he can jump in from, where it's a little bit of a question as to what the anti-air Honda should pick is. And then if you ever get knocked down up close by Gief, say Gief lands a spinning pile driver, Fierce 1, EX 1, something like that, sure, Honda's in trouble. So is everybody in the game. Everybody in the game is there. That's hard. But so this is my sort of immediate feeling. Good morning. Again, good afternoon on my end, but you know, it's early out there, so I appreciate you taking this time. It's cool. All right, so again, I'm gonna watch each game through, so not just the round, but I'll watch the game just to get an idea. You know, I don't want it to be the case that like I begin harping on something and then like 2 seconds later, Broly's apprentice does it. Like that's not gonna be helpful. So let's just watch the thing. And then we'll get into critiques. Yep. Okay, so V-Skill 2 as a way to deal with individual hitting headbutt, that makes a lot of sense. Air-to-air choice, just to avoid the idea of playing the mix-up between which buttons to anti-air with. That makes sense too. Woo! Sweep, huh? Okay. Maybe looking to get underneath, that makes sense. I like roundhouse. Roundhouse is not often a button that you see. But it's actually a good anti-air hitbox from far. Oh wow, okay. Alright, so he spends the whole thing here, the Gief player. rather than going for mix-ups, as you see a little bit more frequently nowadays. This is a great anti-air choice in that kind of instance, yeah, for sure. So V-trigger 2, I just realized, for Honda here. Command grab, of course. It's harder to activate into, so you would need EX hands, or you would need forward roundhouse or something. Yeah, we'll go back and check it out. We'll go back. Oh, okay. I like the read here. Oh, it's a punish. Yep, sure enough, that's -2. Fierce hands against Zangief, EX hands against Zangief are a bit of a risk if he has super. Take advantage, that's good. Oh, looking for the big stuff? Or maybe it's supposed to have been command grab? You let me know. Oh. Oh, I love this. This is a great anti-air. Really paying attention to that as well, not easy. Oh, looking for a jump probably. It did work before. Oh, that's gonna work, yeah, for sure, nice. It was meant to be command grab? Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay.
Final round. Fight.
Sometimes you feel comfortable anti-airing to me, and other times it seems like you are not sure it's gonna work. Link it? Oh, very nice. Okay. I'm like rooting for the Zangief player. So how to make this comeback on... Okay, yeah, sure. You got about even life, a little bit under. Oh, ooh, okay, so that wasn't a punish, that was just a mix-up right there. It was just a guess by the Zangief. And then sweep, okay. Okay, alright. So Broly's Apprentice versus Zangief. Alright, well let's go back and take a gander at some of this stuff. So, right to the first little bit here. Oh. Okay. So, I mentioned that I feel that Honda has good anti-airs, but that Zangief can jump from ranges that can be problematic. It just is a mix-up, right? Zangief has these strong jump-ins from different ranges. So, real early, I think you did jump forward. It was real early here. Yes, jump forward. Okay. So this is a air-to-air jump jab is definitely a good call. It's a useful button. Maybe let me put it that way for Honda. Useful button. If you're not sure about where the anti-air is. However, I would say that this is the range where Stand Fierce is very strong. So you're working on headbutt anti-air, but usually default to jump back jab. Jump back jab is fine. Of course, the Zangief could do jump early medium kick, and then that would beat a jump back jab, right? So there's this sort of susceptibility there. So I would encourage you to think of the Zangief matchup in particular. Others are like this too, but just, this is the one we're talking about. Think of this as being a match where the thing you're paying attention to primarily is the air. Zangief has great ground buttons, and he has excellent footsies. This is something I've been talking about a lot lately. And so at the highest level, Zangiefs will really spend a lot of time being grounded and will be patient, and they'll sneak a jump, they'll sneak a dash every now and then, but like that's not primarily the game. They're trying to fluster you. That is hard. It's a hard way to play. It's a really hard way to play. So I would say the thing that most people do, and this Zangief player does the same, is they like to jump. And that makes sense. I do the same thing as Zangief. So if you can focus on that primarily, in my view, you have made a Zangief player uncomfortable. And so when I'm playing against Zangiefs, the thing that I'm most looking for is jump. That opens you up to grounded games, right? But for many Zangief players, that is their go-to, and I feel like that was the story for the Zangief player here. So I would really like to see a focus on on Stand Fierce. And as far as how to make that happen, my advice has always been, what I've relied on for myself, is to get real myopic about it. to really just focus in on anti-airs. And maybe that means you'll lose, right? But you're trying to learn here. It's not such a big deal to lose. As you focus on that more and more and more and more, you can then maybe feel more comfortable with it. It will become a little bit more natural. And once you feel like it's more natural, at that point, go back to doing the rest of the game. But as a way to learn the focus on how to anti-air, when to anti-air, which buttons, all that sort of stuff, I would say really just play a match versus Zangief. Whenever you see a Zangief, play the match. Think to yourself, I'm just looking for anti-air. Maybe they'll dash at me. Maybe they'll do SPD. Like you can get hit, but if you just really focus on playing that anti-air game, I feel like you can learn it. I would also say I saw quite a few times in which you did not do quick rises, and quick rises are, I feel, very important for playing against a character like Zangief, whose mix-ups, if you don't cross up, are sometimes, don't wake up quick rise, are sometimes limited. In cases where you can back roll, right, there's a mix-up as well, but oftentimes as Gief, the knockdowns you're getting are things that the opponent can just get away from. So you can't just escape here out of the back throw, but you could make it so that he has to make a decision fast. And so I'd like to see that sometimes more. Important, of course, to keep in delayed wake up now and then. If they think that they should do a fast SPD, that you can find them whiffing the fast SPD if you did a delay, right? It'll whiff over you're not grabbable yet. So that's a mix-up you can play, but I would say primarily go for the quick rise. So in this instance here, one thing about the Zangief match is that he is a slow guy. He's a big old slow fella. And so if you're here on the other side of the screen, this is a great time where you could do V skill 2 to charge up, and there's really not too much that Zangief can do about it. Other characters may be able to dash forward, punish, do a dash punch, whatever it is, right? But Gief, no. So you can find a lot more opportunities to set up V skill 2 hands against Gief. Here we go. Yeah, okay. I do like this timing. I like these couple buttons that you bring out here. So this, ideally would have been great if it had been canceled into hands. Same, right? Ideally would have been great if hello distortion. If the Stand Fierce had been canceled into hands. But okay. I do like these timings because, like I was saying, I think that Honda has good footsies buttons, better than people I think often give him credit for. So I like these ranges that you bring out. This makes total sense to me. Beautiful. I mentioned this earlier in the original watch through. I love that. So you definitely are capable, right? We've seen it a couple of times throughout this game that you do have the grounded anti-air, the less risk anti-air. And Stand Roundhouse in particular, I think is a great button choice at that range. It does have a great anti-air hitbox. It's just done at a farther range than many other buttons. So this is really good. I like this a lot that you paid attention to that. That was great. Yeah. Okay, yeah, a little bit too far for the combo there. That's okay. Ooh. So this Gief player likes to do Stand Fierce. It's a very good button. At the same time, it is out there for a while. Let's go back just a little bit here to when it whipped. A little bit ago. A little bit earlier than this, I think, actually. There it was. So, Stand Fierce. Let's find the whiff moment. There it is. Bam. His fist is out there for quite some time. And while I know that it's not easy to do, I would like to see a focus on, I'm sort of in the ideal world, right? This is something that can be whiff punished. And Honda has great whiff punishes, especially with your V skill 2 already charged as you have. You could, if you don't feel like you have enough time for something like forward roundhouse or for Stand Fierce even, you could just do standing strong, right? Because standing strong into hands is something that you can cancel when you have V skill 2. Now, I think that this is maybe less important than the focus on anti-air. This is definitely something you love to see, but maybe a little bit less important than the focus on anti-air. So again, I would say, you know, to sort of learn how to play against somebody who likes to jump, just focus on anti-air almost to the exclusion of anything else. But if you then begun to feel comfortable with that, then this is, I would say, the sort of next thing to focus on. Hello, hello. Yeah, this button is definitely out here for a while. And yeah, you know, and especially, so he did not do charged fierce, I believe. I think this is just regular fierce. Maybe a slight charged fierce. If you see a full charged fierce, and you're pretty sure you're not in range for it, then that's going to be a big tell that you're about to have a great chance to get a whiff punish, right? It's because it's not just about recognizing the recovery of the move at that point. It's about seeing him like charge up. He's like shaking his fist, you know, and then you see the release, and so it's a little bit easier to see. So maybe if you do see that happen, that's something that you could focus on as a whiff punish opportunity. Again, though, anti-air probably more important at this stage. It was a good back roll. I like that. Yep. This is a good anti-air choice, definitely. I saw you mention it in the chat, but I like that a lot. That anti-air EX butt slam. EX butt slam is so what? I'm so thankful for that move, honestly. EX butt slam. Oh, further than that? Yeah. You're definitely paying attention to anti-air, for sure. So I don't want to harp about it too much. Because you definitely have, you had jump jab, you've had stand roundhouse, you've had EX butt slam. And EX butt slam is a great choice in this kind of instance. Right, you get a chance to pressure out of it, right? This could have been forward roundhouse, V-trigger cancel, just to guarantee some plus frames for yourself on a meaty. It would have gotten a crush counter if Geef had pressed any buttons.
Round 2. Fight.
And, okay, this is a good time to talk about it. V-Skill 2 is not armored frame 1. V-Skill 2 is armored on frame 3, if I recall correctly, but not frame 1 for sure. And so, unlike V-Skill 1, you don't have to be that concerned about whether Geef is going to do like a flex and then punish. So it may be a risk in some cases for you to stick out a single button into Geef, like a forward roundhouse. What if the Geef does flex? But that's not an option versus V-Skill 2. So V-Skill 2 has some uses, but at the same time, it is more susceptible to just straight up like Oki pressure. Yeah, okay, right. So, you know, this is punishable, as you see, -2. And, I would say, personally, my philosophy on hands is that fierce hands should not be done except in a combo or except at maximum range. It does a little bit more chip and a little bit more damage on hit than strong hands, but not by a tremendous amount either way. And strong hands is +1. So you can continue pressure. I mean, there can be a mix-up here, of course, right? Geef can do super. In fact, that happens later. But that mix-up is preferable to being in a situation where Geef gets something guaranteed like this. So I would definitely, and this is not just a Geef thing. I would much rather see medium hands in general at this kind of range. So what was it? Yeah, this. Close stand fierce as a meaty into fierce hands. You know, what I'd often do if I'm going to do a stand fierce as a meaty is just jab hands. Jab hands is +2, which is better, right? You do get better mix-ups out of the jab hands than you do out of the medium hands because it's more plus. The range it leaves you at is a little nicer. So that's what I would say to go for as Oki if it's going to be hands. It doesn't need to be hands, right? There's other stuff that Honda can do, but you know, again, maybe that's something to discuss a little bit more later. Ooh, tricky. Yep, it's so hard to resist just doing jab hands. I mean, it's good. Like, it's a good option. Ah, the missed command grab, yeah. Oh, you know, you can even see on the directional side there that was your intention, for sure. I love it. You're super aware of that. That's great. Ooh, the read. The read on the jump. Oh, okay, and this works. So, you know, let me know if I have this wrong, but it seems to me like what happened here is that you expected that the Zangief was going to do a jump. Hence your own jump jab up in the sky. Is that what happened here? I mean, the Zangief player has been jumping quite a bit, so if so, that's not an unreasonable guess. But if your guess is that the Zangief player is going to jump, you know, you have more solid answers than putting yourself at risk. Luckily, the Zangief player only did a grab. That could have been, you know, I guess stand roundhouse, activate, really. I mean, as sort of worst case scenario. Or could have been just SPD. Either way, maybe would have been a little worse. So you don't need to put yourself in that position. You could just, if you guess that the opponent's going to jump, this is when your anti-air can be most aware. And something like stand fierce, stand roundhouse, which you've already done, EX butt slam you've already done, you know, you can definitely do that on reaction. We've been seeing it. So I would say to look for that instead. But like, it's nice to know, right? Because you have an understandable read that the Zangief player is going to jump, and you have definitely demonstrated that you can be looking for anti-air and then do the anti-air. So those are really encouraging points. I would just say to, you know, use stand fierce rather than jump jab as the option. That's all good. Sometimes that's how it happens, right? I'm not against trying it out. I wonder if that was supposed to have been regular. I'm sorry, EX rather than regular butt slam. Yeah. So you're definitely, you know, you have identified the same thing that I have, which is that the Zangief player likes to jump. We're definitely thinking the same thing, and that's why I think we're seeing jump jab, jump fierce a couple times in this round as preemptive choices, because you're aware, right? You're understanding that that's what the Zangief player likes to do. It's just that you can convert that to being a stand fierce or a stand roundhouse or a jab or a fierce headbutt as anti-air, rather than the preemptive sort of stuff. I like that you didn't go in, you didn't take this bait here. Don't just let that guy dance. Yeah, right, like you're definitely aware of this stuff. Ooh. Yeah, just a mix up, right? Like, you can't always get that right. That's not something to be upset about either way. And then sweep. So at the end, maybe were you looking to jump away? That was your guess after the previous super, so that seems likely. Which, you know, just a mix up, right? But yeah, after super, he gets to basically play one mix up, and it's not the best mix up in the world, but if it's end of game situation, then it is fine, which is jab SPD or crouching medium kick, sweep if he's going to take more of a risk, stand roundhouse, stand fierce, individual, I guess stand fierce rather than roundhouse, but individual hits. And jab SPD means that he gives up pressure afterward. At the end of the round, it's good. It's a good mix-up. Yeah, hey man, I'm not gonna rip you for getting a mix-up wrong. You know, that's something that happens at any level. So just in general, I think that it's not useful to say that somebody guessed wrong on a mix-up. Like, if it happens too many times, then there's maybe needs to be a conversation, but that hasn't been my read so far. It hasn't felt like it's been too often. It's just sometimes you get it wrong. That's okay. I don't think that's part of anything to be upset about. So again, in this match, I feel that the biggest, I would say two things maybe, that jump out to me the most. And one is that you're already mostly there when it comes to the anti-airs, but focus on grounded ones rather than jumping ones. And then, and again, if you feel like that's not something you can do right away, then just focus on that to the exclusion of everything else until you feel like it's a little bit more of a muscle memory, just a reactive thing. You don't have to think about it in your brain anymore. You just find your hands doing it, which is ideal. And then secondarily, to use a bit less of fierce hands, unless you're at maximum range, because they do leave you at minus frames, and just as a general rule, you'd rather be at plus frames playing the mix-ups rather than at negative frames playing the opponent's mix-ups. What's up, Salt9? Good work out there as per usual. Chimps, would you say you want the anti-air strategy to be almost muscle memory? Yes, and then focusing on whiff punish makes it easier to play both strategies simultaneously. Absolutely. So what the ideal is to be so accustomed to situations that you can offload at least some of your mental processes into your hands. I mean, obviously, what's really happening is that your brain is just so accustomed that, obviously your brain is the one focusing on it. But it can feel, once you're super ready, that you don't need to think about part of the game anymore, because when you see jump, you just go, wah, you just knock them down. Or when you see dash, you just check it, crouching short, or whatever your character's button is. And when you see a whiff punish, wah, whatever button it is. And so you sort of have freed up your brain a little bit. Again, your brain is actually the stuff that is where that's all being processed, but you can, once you're super ready, feel like some bits become automatic, and then you can more actively think about the larger strategy of stuff. It takes a lot of work to get there. That is not something easy to get to, but you'll notice that at the highest level, people seem like they have anti-airs constantly, or like they can check dashes constantly, and that can feel like it's not approachable. How do they get that? They just get it by being in that situation so many times that they begin to feel like it is automatic as a response. All right, cool. So let's check out the next one.
Zangief, whiff. Round 1. Fight.
Juri. So Juri is a weird character, and I feel like I don't have a very good read of her. I know what she does. I played against her. Just less than most. So, it's one of those situations where I feel like I kind of know what's plus or minus and what her options are, and yet in the moment I often feel like I forget about stuff. So, it's a character I just don't see frequently enough to feel like I'm super confident against. In fact, there's really just maybe one player that I run into regularly who plays a competent Juri. It's really rare here. I don't know how it is for you in Japan, but here in LA, in Cali, it's pretty rare. Oh wow, and V skill 2. Interesting. Ooh. I like the jab a lot afterward. That was really strong. So you've done a couple of headbutts now that have been when the opponent's airborne, and I'm wondering if those are you trying to anti-air or if you are just doing headbutt at that time. Oh, that's punishable. I love the hands. The hands were great. Lots of Juris there, yeah. Okay. Oh, great jumping timing. That catches me too. That catches me too. Ooh, wow. A couple of stolen turns. I love it. Oh, but we'll watch the whole game first and then go back to the beginning.
Round 2. Fight.
Okay. I like that you're just walking there and you jumped at a safe range. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're not aware of the anti-air game or the air game or anything. You could definitely make it happen with Stand Fierce and with Fierce Headbutt for sure. Ah, yeah, okay. That view trigger 1, it does go away pretty quickly, but I feel like it's a little underrated myself. People think it's not great. I don't know, I like it. Oh wow, okay. A lot of your hands come from great spots on screen. Oh wow, oh wow! Oh dang, yeah, okay, so definitely the Juri. I love these buttons. The Juri wants to activate for sure. Oh yeah? Wow. I would have gotten hit 100% as well. I never remember that Honda has anything invincible. Yeah, that's enough for sure. Okay, cool. Cool, nice. Good work.
Honda wins.
Well, I don't know. Hail Mary is fine. Again, I'm not one to criticize on individual mix-ups because mix-ups come from somewhere. It's not a wild idea to do your only invincible option. Why not? The other player did it a couple of times. Many characters just have more invincible options than Honda does. Alright, so we go back to the beginning.
Fight.
Yeah, well, you were absolutely right, weren't you? So I like that little period there of you walking around, you're walking around, and you did this many times. And this is great. I like the idea of being slow. Sometimes you gave in and did this. You did a jump. You didn't get punished for that. Sometimes you did. But many other times you were like that. Okay, so headbutts. Headbutts are okay. They're not bad. But they're pretty susceptible to stuff, and the payoff is not great. The payoff is knockdown, and it can be pressured depending on where and what thing and stuff. But more often, it's just a knockdown. Maybe you get a V-skill 2, maybe you get a little bit, maybe you can move in slightly, right? And some damage. And if they block it, what is Juri maybe gets stand medium kick, right? I don't think hers is very credible. Or does she get crouching medium kick? I actually don't remember offhand. Like I said, it's not a matchup that I see very often. But if she's one of the characters who can't punish it very well, then that's okay on block. But it does mean that you're going to get punished. She's at minimum is doing stand medium kick. Yeah, stand medium kick at minimum. And if she jumps, then you're going to get a full combo punish. And the potential outcomes there of a headbutt. 100 damage on hit, usually not Oki, but sometimes. Versus minimum on block, stand medium kick, or full jump in combo. Like those are just not like a great set of payoffs. Payoff versus risk versus reward. The risk is higher. The reward is, I mean, the risk is times, multiplied by number of times you actually to eat jump-ins. Is like not super high, but it's more likely than if you didn't do it. So I just feel like headbutts are they can feel like an easy thing to go to because it feels crappy to just sit there. Right? Nobody wants to just sit there. And so headbutts feel like they're just an easy go-to. And I use them sometimes. It's, again, they're pretty good. But try not to do them for just the reason of boredom or of, you know, uncertainty about what you should be doing, or the feel that you sort of need to do something. Those are not great reasons to be doing anything, I guess, but especially something like Headbutt. This is great, right here. You have a life lead, no big deal, right? Juri's gonna have to make you block 100 of these fireballs for you to be concerned, so I like it. I don't think there's much need to move. Ah. Okay. Again though, right? The payoff is not huge. Oh, huge! Okay, this... Ideally, right? This is maybe not super important, but ideally, this could have been jump roundhouse. Do you have V-skill too? No. Okay, so minimum, we're talking... Stand fierce, EX hands, activate, stand fierce, fierce hands, V-trigger grab. And that's probably not gonna kill. It would be close, but it would certainly be next mix-up is the kill. Again, I mean, that's the ideal, right? It's not super important. You got some damage here. The Juri player decided it was time to do an invincible move. It's gonna happen sometimes. So during her V-trigger, again, this, I absolutely get hit, for sure. So I'm almost just doing this to half remind myself, but when she has V-trigger active, of course, she has the ability to chain one button into another. And that means that she has different pressure sequences. She has different pressure sequences than normally. So what I often do when I'm playing against a V-trigger 1 Juri, well, I guess that really means if I'm playing against a Juri, because V-trigger 2 who uses it, is I just block. I really try to just block in her V-trigger. And maybe I'll V-reversal, maybe I'll get out of there. But I really try not to challenge it, because, again, you know, what's the risk-reward here is crush, huge bummer if you tried to do something. And if she didn't do that, what do you get? You get a, I don't know, what button were we trying here? I don't know, but in any case, right? Like whatever it is, it's not going to be quite a lot. So I often just hang out here. Once she goes for a cancel or something like that, V-reversal, right? Get away, or you can just block it out. It's not like there's like terribly strong mix-ups in it. There's just good frame traps. So I eat the throw a lot in the corner. I mean, in V-trigger 1 pressure from the opponent. Yeah, right. As I was just saying. So you worried about throws too much. I mean, her throw game's okay. She gets, I mean, not exactly loops. Nobody gets loops mid-screen, but she can pressure mid-screen still. She can harass with the button and stuff. So it's not like her throws are bad. It's not the classic take the throw against Cammy advice who loses all pressure mid-screen. She gets a little bit afterward. But yeah, I think I'd certainly rather eat 2 throws than a crush counter combo into Oki, right? Just in terms of the damage that you've taken and the mix-ups that you have to deal with. Better to eat 2 throws than to take a typical like crush counter combo into good Oki.
Round 2. Fight.
The butt slam, right. Regular butt slam. Do you recall why you may have done this? I can't remember what I did in the match, so let me know if not. But regular butt slam is okay in some instances. If it's a very projectile heavy character, maybe for example, you're reading that Juri's gonna charge up a fireball or something like that. Oh, you meant EX? Let's check out. Oh, okay. Well, hey. I'm never gonna tell anybody to not do EX butt slam. You know me and EX butt slam. She can punish the second hit. She can just do her EX uppercut after she blocks the first hit. But still, I do EX butt slam. I'm not gonna say anything about that. Yeah, stand medium. Yeah, that's really not that big of a deal. Again, there's just also not a lot of payoff on it. Ooh. I saw you say earlier that you think her jump arc looks a little funky, and I think that's true. So this is the gameplay of somebody who knows that they have the life lead against somebody who really, really wants to take back the life lead. And of course you would need to take back the life lead to get the win, but the style of play that you're using here is something that many of us fall into. It's a feeling that you don't have enough time. It's a feeling of now's the moment. And so you jump in, you know, you're quite buttonsy. You're really looking for something here. Jump in again, buttons on landing, right? Buttons trying to challenge her. Even after he hits you, right? Yeah, after your V trigger. These are all classic examples. It's you know, something that can be hard to not do, certainly, but that is just a sign of somebody who doesn't feel like they can take it back, that they can take back the game through slower, more controlled play. But you can, because you have been there in the first place, right? You have had the life lead in this set. Well, you won the last one, but even more than that, right? You had some significant parts of this last round where you did have the life lead and you were playing this slow game. How did you get here in the first place, right? I mean, you didn't get here by making the decisions that you make at the end of the second round of feeling like you need to make the comeback now. You have 60 seconds on the clock, right? There's a lot of time. Telling yourself that intellectually and making yourself believe it enough to not rush in are two different things. So I get that it's not easy to make that change in how you play, but it would be really nice, I think, if we saw you do a little bit more of what I identified right off the bat when you were playing against Juri in the very first round here, was that you were just walking around and looking for moments here and there and trying to pay attention to the jump and, you know, finding it difficult to recognize her jump arc and that sort of thing. But, you know, you are paying attention to that. So I would rather see more of that. That feels to me like the more consistent way, even if you do need a comeback. So towards the end of this here, right, so after you get hit, you press buttons a couple times. Yeah, chill out a little bit. And then it looks like you went for grab there. So your read was, if I'm seeing this correctly, that the Juri player would go for a grab. Oh, you did jab head? No, that was jab hands, right? Let's see. Oh, we can just look at the inputs. What do we got? Oh, we got jab hands. No, now we have throw. Okay. Yeah. Okay, throw indeed. Yeah, you're definitely looking for throw. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, it's a... Hey, that's a mix-up. You know, I would say that in that kind of instance, it may be worth doing delayed throw tech, in which case you're just waiting a brief amount of time, a few frames, before you put the throw in. And that is not going to be... It's not going to come out as a grab unless the opponent didn't do anything at all. It's going to come out as either you are blocking their next hit because you waited just slightly, or if they went for a grab, it's going to come out as a tech. And if it just comes out as a straight up grab, that means that they didn't do anything, which is cool. So there's obviously ways to beat that, but including shimmy, right? Most classically. But yeah, I would like to see that. If your defensive read there is that the opponent's going to go for a throw, just time it a little bit later. You did. Well, look, hey, that's great that you figured it out. That is what's most important. Makes sense to me that the Juri player is looking for anti-air now. Yeah. Ooh, wow. Ah, interesting. So when you do Stand Fierce, you did Stand Fierce, and looks like you held forward and then you held back and Fierce. Interesting. Whenever I press Stand Fierce, I go bump, 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 bump. That is to say, I'm inputting hands every single time I press Stand Fierce. I mean, if it's a combo where I'm doing Headbutt or whatever, I'm not, but you know, otherwise, if I'm in footsies or if I'm in a range where I think that my Stand Fierce is going to be connecting at all, I do Stand Fierce into hands. Would it work at this distance? Let's see. Yes, definitely. That distance right there is an important spot, I feel, for Honda, because he has buttons that don't move his hurt box forward. Stand Fierce is an example of this until pretty far into the move. And so he can counter poke really well there. And yeah, he can definitely do Stand Fierce into hands at that range. So Stand Fierce strong hands, Stand Fierce EX hands, something like that. Bum, bum. If you are not confident in that, I don't know. I guess I would say that that's something to just try to build into your game. Just the feeling that you are always doing hands. I feel like I'm always doing hands. Yeah, right. Ah, yes. Okay, right. The execution of hands itself certainly is something to just feel like you're doing every time. And that's taken me a while to learn. So I haven't played a character who does hands in the way that this character does hands until Street Fighter V Honda. I didn't play Honda or any mash button character in Street Fighter 4 or in Third Strike. I did in Super Turbo. I played Honda. But Honda does not do the same hands method. It has to be the same button over and over again. So instead of doing a piano method, you're just mashing really fast on whichever button you want. So it's a very different method to do it. But anyways, it's my first time playing a character like this. And yeah, it took me a year, maybe most of a year, to feel like I'm doing hands every time. And even still, I screw it up sometimes. So, but ideally it'd be something to work on. Sweep. What could you have done? Maybe your own sweep, certainly. Unblock. EX butt slam. Punishes. Get Oki out of it. Yeah, you know, a couple of things. Ooh, the reads are coming now against the headbutt. Oh, could have been big, but you were busy. You know, you're already doing stuff there. And when that happens, well, let's pause this. Feels like a bummer to like let this go. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a bummer to let this go and not punish it, but you know, you expected something else and it didn't come, and so you just don't have enough time at that point, right? Not enough frames to actually punish. Always feels bad, but that's how it is sometimes. It's okay. So right here is what I want to talk about. So Juri has V-trigger ready to go. And you know that the best way for Juri to be from far into point blank activate is to do the flip kick special move that I don't know the name of. Whatever it is. Whatever you anti-air right here. So that headbutt, I like a lot. I've been saying that I think that headbutts are a little bit overrated. But not that they're not good. I think that they can be good. So I like this. I would also say that if your expectation is that the opponent's going to be doing flip kick into activate, that you could also have done just a neutral jump, right? You could have done neutral jump over this. So this Juri player has made the read that you're going to do headbutt a couple of times. They've done neutral jump, they've done jump back. You can make the same read here, right? And I always really try to pay attention to my opponent's V meter, because everybody wants to get their V trigger going. And so I always try to think, like, what's the way that this opponent would most want to activate? What's their I take the turn back very, very fast option? So for Juri, it's whatever it's called, into activate. I'm actually looking it up right now because I feel like a moron saying that over and over again. Oh, I don't know what they're called anyway. I don't know why I'm bothering with this. What are any of these moves called? I don't know. Whatever. So that's your thing. If you're playing against a Bison, they're probably gonna do slide activate, right? If you're playing against a Lucia, they're probably gonna do EX run kicky kick activate. Like, there's different characters have the thing that they do that they like to just turn it on with. And in each of those cases, you could make reads to avoid that stuff. You could do jump backs against each of those. You could do neutral jumps against each of those. You could do headbutt, certainly. But the others carry less risk and more reward. So. Anyway, it's good. I like the slot. The headbutt's good timing. Same with the stand strong. Great timing there. And then, yeah, you make the read. I love it. I love it. I'll never tell you that I think reads like that are bad. There are better times than others, naturally, you know. But I'm also not one to say that I think that a read that doesn't work out was the bad call, or that a read that does work out was the right call. I don't think that's it either way. It's like in basketball. If you say you're not somebody who's known for taking a three-point shot, you get past the ball, you take the three-point shot, or whatever. You're getting defended in some harsh way, and you take a shot anyway. Whatever it is, whatever thing that is not high percentage as a shot, and you do it, it could work. Does that mean it's the right call? No, coaches are still sometimes mad about that, because usually it won't work out. And these games like these, basketball, fighting games where there's a lot of little points that like add up over time to win or to not win, are very much about the numbers game of how likely it is that each thing that you do is going to connect, is going to hit, or how likely is it that it's going to get blocked or you're going to get punished. This numbers game is really, really important. So reads, I think, have to be related to that. So sometimes I'll criticize reads that I think are the wrong reads, maybe not even the wrong reads, but the risky reads that hit. Because sometimes I think just the fact that it hits was still not the right call. But in any case, when it comes to doing something like a super near the end of the last round of a game, yeah, sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. That's a different question. But the idea of it, I'm down with. Why not?
Honda wins. Round one.
Okay, ooh, Sagat. Interesting. I don't know how it is out there, but this character is rare for where I live. And that actually might be rare just on the West Coast as well, because I know that there are some strong Sagats out east in North America. But where I live specifically, I almost never see Sagats. You've gone to using V-Skill 1. Yeah, that's reasonable. I see it. Yeah, I see that you're using V-Skill here, V-Skill 2 here, but V-Skill 1 versus V-Skill 2, I think this is one of those matches where V-Skill 1 is a credible choice, certainly. Yeah. One of my favorite things about Honda, though, is that people play them pretty differently, and they have success. So you have players who are playing a very offensive, very active Honda. You have players who are playing very slow, patient Honda. And they both work. And you have players who are playing V-Trigger 2 or V-Trigger 1, and you have players who are playing V-Skill 1 or V-Skill 2, and whatever combination of them. And they all feel pretty credible to me. I personally feel, my own subjective feeling is that V trigger 1, V skill 2 is almost always his optimal. But that might just be for how I play. And so, you know, there's a Honda Discord, and in that, we have talked about this many times, and I've expressed that feeling many times, and other people are just as often saying they think V trigger 2 has at least as many good uses. They think V skill 1 is useful not just in these fireball matches, but in many other matchups too, and it's cool. It's one of my favorite things about the characters, that there doesn't really seem to be a consensus. And even people who I think are very good players, who are very intelligent, knowledgeable players, have big disagreements about this, which is cool. It's fun to have a character who's that open to interpretation. As far as V skill 1 in this matchup, I personally play V skill 2 even still. And the reason for that is just that I feel that V skill 1 I feel that the idea of negating fireballs with it is more of a hope than a frequent success. Sometimes it works, definitely, but he has a fast enough fireball versus a slow enough fireball that I feel that the idea of doing V skill 1 on reaction to either of them is like not super likely. But hey, anyway, again, people disagree with me on that. So I think it's all credible. Okay, so just again, before we get into this, yeah, I would say this matchup in my view is even or a slight loss, something like that. Something, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a blow up, but somewhere between 5-5 and 4-6. Maybe it's a loss. Jeez, that was a weird one to end up on.
Round 1.
And the reason that I say that is that when Honda hits Sagat, he can do 300 damage pretty often. Whereas, I mean, look, ideal case, Sagat does a ton of damage as well, but more often he's doing like whatever a fireball damage is. Was that like 60? It's like not a lot, something like that. And an anti-air DP, was it 100? I don't know. It's not a lot as well. So you can eat, what, 2 fireballs and an anti-air, and then get 1 jump in, and you've evened up the life lead, like right away. So in that kind of case, I just feel like there's only so much that you can think that you're losing, you know, because you're always close to that moment. Not that you should be jumping in constantly, but what I do a lot is I just walk up and block a lot. I try to trade through fireballs with standing medium punch and crouching medium punch, which have really good hurt boxes on them. Really good hitboxes versus hurt boxes on them to trade through, which is cool. And I do neutral jump a lot. I walk and block a lot. Sometimes I jump in, you know, not very often, but when I do, I feel like it should be big damage if I land it.
Fight.
I feel like you're about to get smacked. You're about to get smacked. Oh, okay. Ah, they're trying to challenge, huh? Ooh, I love the hands. I see what you mean when you said earlier that that's your go-to Oki. I would like to see more variation on that. There's a lot of cool stuff that Hunting do. Even if it's going to be, well, I'll watch the whole thing, but you know, even if it's going to be hands pressure versus non-hands pressure. I don't just mean fierce hands versus jab hands. I mean, like, could be stand strong, could be stand medium kick. There's a lot of different stuff. Crouching short. That, I think, is pretty sick, though, to be honest. To escape the corner in that way, I'm definitely down with. I've actually learned from you right now. I like that. I like that a lot. I don't do that. I'm going to start doing that. Oh, that's what I'm talking about? That was asking me how to navigate through firewalls. What are you talking about?
Round 2.
That looked great.
Fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna, you're gonna eat anti-airs. It's okay. That was as much damage as he dealt. Look, you're doing the crouching strong thing. Yeah, you're looking legit. Oh. Ooh. Okay, jump back jab, as we mentioned. Common go-to for you. Oh, wow. Was that supposed to have been V-trigger command grab rather than sweep? I wonder. I'll take a look on the second watch through.
Final round.
Butt slam. Okay, yeah, there's stuff to talk about here in terms of navigating through. There we go. That's, hey, you got it. You from the past, you already did what I was about to tell you to do. Sweet. Great jump distance. Excellent jump distance. Oh, those are good fireball reads right there by this. Oh my god! Oh boy, there was so much damage potential there for that one screw up by the Sagat. Okay, okay. So there were definitely moments here where you already did things that I would say that you should do. So let's instead maybe more focus on the timings to do those things. That is to say, things like neutral jump fierce, over fireballs versus jump forward, standing strong, crouching strong, try to trade through. Headbutt does the same idea, right? Yeah, this is great. Great pressure. Oh, you tried to cancel. Okay. Yeah, again, I would like to see more variety. I don't think that this is one of the most important things that we've discussed. I would definitely say things like try and grounded anti-airs rather than jump jab, or prioritizing jab and strong hands rather than fierce hands are more important. But I would like to see ultimately different options that you show the opponent on Oki. Even if they kind of result in similar pressure, because they kind of do. Standing medium punch is plus on block. What is it, +2? I'm looking it up now. I don't want to be inaccurate here. I played this character before, I tell you. Standing medium punch, +2, yeah, okay. So that's +2, standing medium kick is +4. You know, there's stuff that you can get out of each of those. Standing strong, cancel down forward roundhouse, to beat frame trap, to beat buttons as a frame trap, or to do standing strong down forward roundhouse command grab. Like, there's extra layers, or just command grab, which you do a couple times. There are different layers that you can put in here, and just making the opponent think about stuff is useful. Right? The more that you could put in their head that they have to pay attention to, the more successful you're going to be. And that's true in every phase of the game, in neutral, in pressure, on defense, whatever it may be. The more that you make them think about, the more, the harder it will be for them to choose the right choice. So if you throw all these different looks at them on Oki, it can feel sometimes like it's like, why bother mixing it up when two options are both good? Why not just present the binary choice? And it's just because having them think about more things means that they are thinking less about each one of those things, right? It's like any other kind of idea of the mental stack of how many things can you keep balanced in your brain at any one time. Human beings have a limit, and fighting games are fundamentally built around that, just like any strategy game is built around that. So, you know, anyway, again, this is maybe less important than some other stuff, but I would like to see more of that in the future. I like this. Like I said, you taught me right here. I like that. The escape on from the corner with fierce headbutt. Why have I not been doing that? I don't know, but I will from now on. This range was so good. We'll take a look at these two spots where you did jump forward. Okay. Watch where your back is. You are basically cornered. I think you maybe could take a couple steps back, but you're basically cornered here. And the jump, yeah, you walk forward briefly, yeah. The jump here, Sagat can't really anti-air this. This is too far away. Maybe if he's just, wow, real weird. Come on, data. Maybe if the Sagat player is a super genius, they could do like Kara cancel knee and make you land on it, but that's not very likely. So this is a range where you can't get uppercutted, and where even stand roundhouse is gonna whiff. Which means that it is a safe spot to jump. I mean, more or less. Again, like if there are ways for Sagat to beat this, but more or less. And that means that you have moved into this range now. Look at this range that you're in. This is great. This is great range. This is where you can harass with stand medium punch, crouching medium punch, with hands, where you can counter poke pretty well. Good range here. And this is not your ideal range. Your ideal range is like right up close, of course, but this is a way to get into that. And you got that by jumping pretty safely from far. So I call these fireballs that the Sagat player throws welcome fireballs. A fireball done at this range rarely has a solution on the anti-air side and is pretty much asking for the opponent to jump. It is putting out the welcome mat for them to move forward into a range where they can contend better. So I always try to find that spot in each matchup, and versus Sagat, it's basically where you were. It was a great jump range. You move into a range where you can threaten fairly safely. And then this second jump is a jump that is less safe, as you can see by the result. Right. This is where Sagat wants you to jump. This is the bad jump. This is the jump that gets you killed, you know. Again, the anti-airs that Sagat's gonna do, or you'd have to eat 10 anti-airs at this point. Look how much life you have. I don't know, whatever the number is, right? A lot in order to die. So to take a risk on a jump is no big deal. But this is nevertheless the range where Sagat can comfortably anti-air. So, you know, just pay attention to those two spots that you jump from. If he throws a fireball here, it's a welcome fireball. Yeah. Oh, that's probably not intentional. That happens to me sometimes too. Great. You got it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Right. That is the spot where when you jump, you're pretty safe. Beautiful. Beautiful jump. That's exactly where you want to be. And what's nice too is that, let's see, did you press a button in the sky? No. Beautiful. If you had done jump roundhouse or something, or jump fierce, that might have put your hurt box far enough forward that maybe that anti-air would work. Maybe that dragon punch would hit you if you had your little fingers stuck out or your foot stuck out. But you didn't. So I like this a lot. This is, you know, as with the anti-air stuff, as with the mix-up stuff, you definitely are doing stuff already. That's really good. It's just a question of prioritizing the strong sides of things a little bit more than I think you have been. But you definitely are there in a bunch of different ways. And then crush, counter, punish, even though it wouldn't have killed, or it wouldn't have mattered, right? But I love the idea of just doing, you have a punish, 2 dragon punches. I do the same thing. I'm not somebody who does the back throw because it builds more meter. Nah. I have a punish that I do. And I just try to offload my brain, again, just like we were talking about before with trying to pay attention to anti-airs, offload my brain and just be like, yeah, here's the punish that I have. It's just whatever, crush counter, or, you know, whatever button it is. Sometimes it's not a crush counter. Just to keep it easy on myself.
Round 2. Fight.
Yeah, that's the bad spot. Yep. So, and notice too that you walked forward. Yep, you walked forward. And in walking forward, you can feel like you've made an advantage happen. Now you're closer than before, which feels like it's right. You want to be closer, so you walk forward. But there are these little spots on screen. Is my mouse working here? Yeah, it is. Cool. So there's these little spots on screen. Exactly, right? You should be back up. You already get where I'm going with this. Think of this as a, again. Yep. Sagat did your work for you, right? Here, before you block, here, if you jump here, whoop, anti-air. Okay? Sagat throws a fireball, and he backs you up. Now, he didn't back you up enough to be at a safe spot, but the idea is that you can use the idea of blocking fireballs to move yourself safely backwards to a range where you can safely jump. You take a little bit of chip, not a big deal, right? You are allowing the opponent to throw fireballs in a way that actually helps you. Once you block, now you're still not far enough, but say that you block this one, don't jump, you block the next one. Okay, EX is fine, right? Good work. But if you had blocked a couple of those, at some point you are outside of his anti-air range if you jump. So again, just pay attention to that as a way to move through fireballs. Sometimes blocking fireballs puts you into a better spot to jump over fireballs. Love this counter poke, that's great. What's the reason for the activation here? That activation. There's a timing issue. Oh, one sec. This one off my screen. Yeah, that sounds right. Oh, top left center said, you find mixing in crouching medium kick to be useful even though it isn't very rewarding. I do crouching medium kick sometimes. I want to do it sometimes as a meaty. Because if you do it as a meaty, is it +1 or is it 0? It's something like that. I'm looking it up now. Yeah, it's +1 ideally on block, which is cool. So that allows you to maintain pressure with a low, and on hit, you can link out of it into stand short headbutt. In fact, if it's a meaty, you can link out of it into stand jab headbutt. So I do that same thing as well sometimes. Oh, okay, so the reason is I'm in trouble, activate. Okay. Well, think of the activation as being potentially a chance to, it's a chance to do something. And sometimes that something can be getting plus frames. I mean, it's okay. Well, not a big deal, but you could use this to get plus frames for yourself if it's forward roundhouse into V-trigger cancel. It could be mid combo as a part of a confirm. And it could be, and I think this is a good use of it, it could be screen freeze as a way to see what's coming and then respond appropriately. So I do this quite often. I'll see somebody doing something, fireball, a jump, or whatever, and I'll activate. And the reason for that is to just give myself some time to react. Oh, you're in the sky. That means I get a free fierce headbutt anti-air. Or you threw a, let's say non-EX fireball. This is EX, but let's say non-EX fireball. Okay, that means that I get to do V-trigger 1, absorb it, hit you on your recovery. Or it means I get to do EX headbutt to just get on through. So screen freezes can be really, really helpful. Yeah, you can activate it mid-combo. You can do like EX hands into activation mid-combo. And there are some, by the way, I think there are some triggers that are definitely useful to just have. Like if you're in a Kali, like being in trigger can be so important, right? That you just do it, okay? I don't think that V-trigger 2 Honda is one of those. I think V-trigger 2 Honda is more about looking for the right opportunities. You're definitely aware of anti-air. You could definitely be doing, oh, for sure you could do stand pierce. For sure. 3 times in a row you did an anti-air, an air-to-air anti-air, but you were aware for sure. And then miss butt slam, as you said. So again, there's a lot that I feel encouraged about in your matches here.
Final round. Fight.
Yeah, you know, this'll happen sometimes. That could have been stand fierce, punish Landsies into EX hands, you know, I mean, there's big damage available. Hard to do, of course. That was a great jump spot. That moved you way far forward. It moved you into a place where you are contending with his buttons at that point. So that was, what did he do, crouching mini kick? Yeah. So you jump forward. Look at this range now. Now he gets to you first. He actually walks up because he recognizes, I would imagine, that he's at an uncomfortable spot. And he does this and he pushes you backwards. Which is a good idea by him. But that means that when he walked forward, you could have done standing strong, crouching fierce. Maybe you just do empty jump forward. Well, it wouldn't be empty, I guess, but you do jump forward, jab hands on landing. Something like that, right? So you jumped at a great spot. You have a chance at that point to contend with him. And then when he pushes you backwards, you know, okay, that opportunity's over. But it did exist for a while. Again, great jump range again. Ooh, that high tiger was a good read though by him. Yeah, oh yeah, that could have been so big, right? Imagine if that was jump roundhouse, crouching. Do you have V skill 2? No, okay. But imagine if it was jump roundhouse, stand fierce, EX hands, stand light kick, jab hands, V trigger 2, all the way to the corner. That's, what was that, 300 damage? I don't know, I don't play V trigger 2, but I would imagine it's like 300-ish damage. And then you have corner control, like right away. Like, at that point you are 1.5 mix-ups away from winning. So, you know, you look at the life bar now and you think, oh boy, uh-oh, right? I end up losing. But this definitely could have been a different story. That was a 2 mix-up away from winning the game story. Before we end talking about this, let's talk about trying to find the neutral jumps that you had over. There it was. Yeah, you're looking for it here. I think the actual jumps themselves are earlier. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's a really, really important way to move. And is typically safer. Again, if Sagat's a genius, maybe you have to contend with Kara cancel, Tiger knee or something, you know. It's possible, but typically that's a safer way to move than jumping forward. And if you have the opponent expecting that you're going to do neutral jump, then they will do, in fact, what the Sagat did. That's great timing. The Sagat did that one. The high tiger. And so if you have the Sagat, high tiger is good in some ways, for sure. But if you have the Sagat throwing more high tigers than low tigers, then they're not as much paying attention to the grounded game. That is a signifier that they're paying attention more to the jump game. And you know, you can definitely take advantage of that by dashing, by EX headbutting instead. Like, there's other stuff that you can then play on if they are looking for the anti-air game a lot. Yeah, exactly, top left center, exactly. So, again, you look at the life lead at the end of this round and you feel like it's gnarly. I think that's easy to feel like, and I think when we began looking at this match, you say, how can you deal with the fireballs in this match? These fireballs are so fast, hard for me to deal with. You definitely almost won this. Even though you look at the life lead and it ends up being gnarly. Again, this right here, that was a hit into 2 more mix-ups, so you were not far away. And a lot of the stuff that I would say for advice are things that you're already doing. But instead to just maybe, you know, maybe you have used fireballs by the opponent to push yourself backwards to a safe space to jump without like really thinking about it in that way, right? Maybe you've jumped safely and thought, oh, that time I made it over safely, without sort of realizing that in fact you had already used your blocking of a fireball to put yourself into a safer spot to jump. But now, you know, having thought about that, that's a super, super useful way to move around. So in conclusion, right, I think you're definitely aware enough of the opponent's jumping to prioritize grounded stand fierce or fierce headbutt over jump back jab. You know, we all have things that we get in the habit of doing, and those habits can be hard to break. But showing yourself that you are aware that the opponent's jumping often enough to do jump back jab, right? That's a demonstration of your awareness that they're going to jump and that they are in fact jumping, and then you respond with your anti-air. That is a demonstration that instead it could be stand fierce or it could be headbutt, because you're already doing the awareness side of things, and that's the hard part. So that I'd rather see more jab hands than fierce. Fierce as a meaty hands, I wouldn't want to do. I would definitely want to do strong or preferably jab hands. And when playing against fireball characters, V skill 1, right? Let me know how that goes. That's cool. And even on top of switching V skills, try to pay attention to whether the opponent's throwing welcome fireballs. Try to pay attention to your range where you can jump safely, or at least more often safely. And then, you know, the idea that, look, if you land a big jump in, you can tie up life leads, you know, very quickly with Honda. And so even if you're down in life, you're not necessarily out. But I think there's a lot of stuff that you're doing that's already strong. And if anybody else would like me or James to review their matches and give them advice, hey, please let us know. It's something we're doing for Patreon supporters. So check out the Patreon, and if you are supporting and want us to do any matches or match review or otherwise help, please let us know. Please let us know. We would be very happy to.